You don't know my life. You don't know what has happened in my life. You don't know the background, and you don't know what's been brought upon me. And it wasn't my fault. It didn't have anything to do with me, but here I am. And I'm dealing with all the difficulties and all the struggles of life. I'm not sure. God cannot love me, or this wouldn't be happening. Times in your life, and there's been times in mine, when we have come face to face with some kind of reality. It could be the ugliness of our thinking or the ugliness of our actions. It could be some kind of a circumstance that comes along our way, and out of our heart we cry out to God and we say, do you even love me? Have you ever asked that? I would like to show to you that the obvious answer to that question is God really does love you. He really does. God looks down upon you, and He looks down upon me, and there's a stench, the noxious stench of my sin that goes up to His nostrils, but He still loves me, and He displays that love by sending His Son. Is that enough? No. He is going to describe to them what real love is. And He wants them to know, first of all, we don't love God. Second of all, He said, God loved us. Third of all, He says, He sent His Son. He put that love on display. It was right in shoe leather. And here He was, walking amongst men, and everything He did and everything He said was love. God sent His Son. What an amazing display of love, but it wasn't enough. Does God really love me? We really wouldn't know the love of God. We really wouldn't know it without the impact of this theme. God not only loved us, God not only put that on display by sending us His Son, but God loved us so much that in the sending of His Son, He sent Him to be the propitiation, the payment for my sin. But in the Old Testament, there was a place where God would meet. It was the top of an ark of gold. Is this picture of these two angelic creatures with their wings reaching up and touching? The glory of God would be right there. Them once a year to come in with the blood of animals that were slain, first from the altar. They would take that blood and they would sprinkle it on the top of that seat. Now, it's called the mercy seat, but the word is propitiation. God took a look at the blood and temporarily covered sin. And John was right there, and he's watching. On the cross, he is suffering, he is bleeding, he is dying, and finally, it is finished. What was John watching? John was watching an act of God that was like the mercy seat. God, on the mercy seat of old, met with the sins of the people. Can I tell you something? On the cross, when the Lord Jesus died, God had a meeting with my sin. That's right. You think about that long enough, it'll drive you to tears and it'll drive you to your knees. That on the cross, in those hours of darkness, all the agony and punishment that the Lord Jesus endured was because He was having a meeting with my sin. Does God really love me? Oh yeah. He sent His Son to be the meeting place. Just picture it in your mind for a moment. On the cross, God reached back in time and He got to the very first sin. He gets a hold of that sin and He reaches forward in a time yet to be, and He gets the last sin, and God takes that whole cataclysmic mess, wreckage of sin, and He pulls it all together and He funnels it on the Lord Jesus Himself, His own Son. And there God met with my sin. And the Lord Jesus satisfied it. He made the payment. God met with my sin. Done. And when the Lord Jesus said, it is finished, in one word, He said this, it's paid. It's settled. Everything that is held against you and I and our sin, God said, I'm going to take it all and I'm going to put it on my own Son. And I'm going to take all the punishment that you and I deserve and I'm going to put it on Him. And He finished it. You are loved by God. For everyone to understand that not only God is love, but God expressed that love in the sending of His Son. And not only did He send His Son, but He sent His Son to be the payment and to become the meeting place for my sin. And God is satisfied. God is absolutely, thoroughly, 100% satisfied with the payment of Christ on the cross.